Hello and welcome back to Rise of Flight. My name is Sven van der Plank and I'm going to be doing my third episode of Rise of Flight today. This time I'm going to be on the side of the Allies for the first time. You can see the date up here, 2nd of August 1915. This is the diary of Vasily Vladislavovich Sobakov. This is my Russian pilot I've created here. So let's have a look at what he's writing. Each morning I thank the Tsar that I find myself a pilot in the squadron of airships and not another soldier cowering in the dirt below. Our remarkable Ilya Muromets continue to rule the skies. On the rare instances an enemy aircraft approaches us, I've been able to see them off from my observation post on top of the aircraft. Though no Ilya Muromets has ever been lost to hostile fire, our superiors are leaving nothing to chance. 2 new prototype Sikorsky S-16s were dispatched to my unit, the EVK first to trade, first back in March. After months of pleading, I've finally been entrusted with the piloting of one of these machines. So my pilot here, we're flying out of this airfield on the right. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce any of these towns here. And my little story I've created is he is an observer in the squadron of airships that fly the fantastic Ilya Muromets heavy bombers, strategic bombers. So he's not a pilot himself. He was on the machine gun nest on top of the aircraft. Now at this point in the war, as my diary entry alludes to, not a single Ilya Muromets has been lost to enemy air, either enemy aircraft or enemy anti-air fire. However, they have access to a brand new aircraft. Let's have a look at it here. Here it is, the Sikorsky S-16. This is just a prototype of it, or at least in this part in the game, it is a prototype. Let's actually begin the mission. We can talk more about it from inside the aircraft itself. Okay, here we are in the aircraft then. And straight away you notice we have a second wing ahead of us. We're in a proper biplane now, no longer one of the Eindeckers. Looking into the interior there, you'll see this aircraft really is made on a budget. In fact, look at that. I seem to be sitting behind the seat there, but never mind. In terms of controls and dials, there are very little to go by. I have my rudder down below. I've actually got it set the right way around now. Before I was flying with it set backwards. It seems the opposite, so I don't know. This here turns the aircraft to the left. This there turns it to the right, which seems the opposite of what I would have expected. But that seems to be the way it works. On the left hand side here, I don't have a throttle. I have a mixture control, same as the Eindeckers. Still no throttle in any of these aircraft. But this one is backwards. So this here is now full rich, that there is full lean. I have a couple dials, interesting looking dials here. This one here seems to be filled with fuel. Maybe that's how much fuel I've got in the aircraft, I don't know. This one here is a similar setup. And I've only got one dial ahead of me, the tachometer there. Over to my left I can see a couple of the wonderful Ilya Muromets. We'll definitely be doing a mission in those at some point. But for now, let's get started. So we're going to go full mitch, start the engine. We're going to pull out of this hangar and then I'm going to do what I did before in the Pfalz, find the point at which the engine cuts out. Okay, dropping my mix now, dropping it still, dropping it further. Alright then, it looks as if there's a point where we can sit here idling now. Couldn't do this in the Eindecker, there was no point at which you could drop your throttle when you weren't moving and get a better look at those aircraft. Off to the right hand side there I can see another S-16. Anyway, let's get going. We are going to fly to the nearby city of Tarnopol, at this point under, I was about to say Soviet there, but no, Russian control. This is still Imperial Russia. So let's go increase our revs again, take off, went ahead vaguely this direction. The rudder's backwards, isn't it? So I need to learn that. I think I'm heading towards some trees here. This is slightly concerning. Put the nose down so I can see where I'm going. Yep, there is some trees there, but I think I'll be in the air before then. And you'll see the control stick ahead of me here. The rudder's backwards, isn't it? Doesn't go to the left and right. Instead I have this wheel system, which I think was more common in World War I fighter aircraft. Definitely in the early war. This is closer to what you have in modern day Cessnas. You'll see the wheel controls the roll here, and I have actual ailerons that move, no longer bending the entire wing. So I want to head this direction until I get, basically I want to follow this road. Not this dirt road, but that paved road there, which for some reason is thinner. I'm going to follow that until I get to the river, and then once I get to the village up there, I will follow the train tracks into the city. The city is over to my left somewhere. I think I can see it at this point. So the S-16 then. Very primitive early Russian aircraft, designed with the express intention of providing air cover for the Ilya minomets. Is that a bridge down there? Okay, so the road I need to follow goes across a bridge. I need to try and remember that. The village I'm going to is, I think, this one over here, surrounded by the water. But yeah, the first S-16, which I'm flying right now, that took flight in early 1915, I think it was February, and that was the first of 3 prototypes. The second and third prototypes were actually sent to the Ilya minomets in March of 1915 for, I guess, field testing. It wasn't until 1916 that the first proper production run entered service. Again, primarily with the Ilya minomets. There were, I think, some fighter units in the Russian Air Force. What little fighter units they did have had them as well. So in my reading, I seem to be slouching in the chair a little bit there. Let's try and line ourselves up with the gunsight there. Yeah, in my reading, the 9th Fighter Aviation Division, they had them as well. There's the town. I'm looking for a railway on the north edge of this town here. I can follow off to the left. City of Ternopil. How many bridges are along this river? Let's put our nose down here and have a look. 2? 2 bridges. Okay, so I need to follow the second bridge I'm going to come to. Oh, hang on. I'm slightly out of control here. Put our nose pointing down. All these aircraft seem to be pulling up. I'm flying with this stick pointing forwards. I need to maybe look into adjusting the inputs, finding a new 0 point. Let's briefly look at our map here. So I am, you see the city of Ternopil there. To the right is a village name with 2 words in it, surrounded by water. I think I'm the village just to the right of that as well, actually. So that village with the 2 words is that one over there, I think. Which means the city should be just on the horizon there. But our track IR is too sensitive and I can't get a good look on it. Ternopil's over there somewhere. I believe that's correct anyway. I'm supposed to be looking for a railway around here. Let's have a look at our map again. There should be a railway somewhere. Okay. Might give up on the railway and just follow this paved road below me here. Yeah, that looks like it works too. In fact, is that the railway just there? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're going the right way. You'll see these 2 lines of trees here. The left one's following the road, the right one following a railway. So we want to follow them into town now. I need to remember that I'm going back that direction. second bridge following the road. Okay, this railway is eventually going to lead to town, so let's just follow it. And take my feet off the rudder as well. Relax them a bit. Adjust my mixture a bit, see what I can get. That's the wrong way. Okay, it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Just leave it at that. Can't lean outside the cockpit here. Somewhere ahead of me is the city. Oh, I think I can see it just there actually. Hasn't quite loaded in, it's right on the edge of my vision. But we're heading the right direction, that's what matters. So the main feature of this aircraft that made it special is this here, the synchronized machine gun. One of the first, in fact I think it was the first Russian aircraft, certainly the first Russian-built aircraft to have a synchronized machine gun. But it was not a reliable system whatsoever. Frequent gun jams would take it out of action. Nowhere near as effective as the German-built method. During my research as well, I was reading a report from 1917, I think it was, the beginning of 1917, that said only about 24 Russian aircraft in the Imperial Russian Air Service had synchronized machine guns, which was a tiny number. When you look at the nations on the Western Front, they had thousands of aircraft with synchronized machine guns by that point. Germans obviously ahead of the game in 1915. It wasn't until 1916 where the Allies developed their own systems. Well, I suppose they must have had some primitive systems because the Russians have one here in 1915. I'm not sure if their prototypes would have been fitted with machine guns at all, actually. It's the city ahead of us, making our way over there. Let's have a look at our map again. Let me tell you. There's a much closer airfield, actually, just next to the city. It should be... oh, and there it is! Just off the top of my gun barrel. Much more responsive in the roll of this aircraft. It actually looks like I'm boxed in a little bit here. Those struts kind of framing my window. So I'm flying down a cardboard box. Going back to the topic of synchronization, while the Allies didn't have any proper, quote-unquote, synchronized machine guns, they did have their other systems as well. So I think it was a French pilot, Roland Garros, I want to say his name was. He was flying, I was going to talk more about this in the next video actually, spoilers, but he had a Moran I think it is, Moran Saulnier Type L with a machine gun fitted in a similar setup to what we have here, that he fired through his propellers without a synchronization system to it, so running the risk of hitting the propellers. But what he had done was fitted metal plates to the propellers itself, and so he was able to use this effectively as well. He scored victories to shoot down enemy aircraft. Of course, it was certainly not a perfect solution. I would not want to be firing at a bit of metal a couple of feet in front of my face with a machine gun. You never know where that bullet's going to go. Big factories over there. when Roland Garros crashed his plane in mid-1915, the Germans were the first to get to the wreckage. I presume it was behind German lines. And they recovered his kind of ingenious system, realized the advantages of having a fixed firing machine gun ahead of your aircraft, and got to work on the synchronization gear. In fact, I believe it was already under development, but struggling to find interest in the various militaries around the world. But Fokker saw the advantage of it, installed it on his aircraft, and the Germans made good use of it. What's going on with the road down there? Oh, okay, just unloaded. So this here, Ternopil, or is it Ternopil? I'm not sure. One of 4 cities in the Galicia map. We are in Galicia proper here now. I think before, last time we were flying here, we were down in Bukovina. Well, I mean, technically, yeah, when we were doing our Bavarian flight, we were in the Carpathian Mountains, which border Galicia. Is that a railway below us? I need to find the railway here, to follow it out of town. There's a large building in the centre right there. We didn't see one of those in Chernovitz. Like a church of some description, and another building beside it, like a long building of some description. Where's that railway? Oh, there it is. Oh no, sorry, that's my cables going between the wings. Is that the railway? I think it is. Okay, we're looking for a road and a railway crossing here on the map. Let's have a look. Yeah, so if I follow this road, I should be able to take a shorter route than following the railway here. Let's go down towards the ground here. In fact, away in the distance there I can see a line of trees. I think that's what we were looking at quite a while ago. Yeah, the road does go pretty straight for a while, so let's go closer. I think this gauge on the left here might be, oh, I can see it going down just then. It might be our fuel gauge, which is an interesting looking fuel gauge. I wonder how it works. Because presumably, I mean, fuel is more than just what's in that tube there. Oh look, there's our airfield just there. I should, yeah, we are on the right track. I should definitely transfer to this airfield. Much easier to navigate to. I don't know if you fly faster closer to the ground. I think you do higher up, but obviously more obstacles down here. Might be some slight wind here. My wheel here, you can see, is just angled slightly to the right. I'm still having to consistently hold my joystick forwards, which is really not ideal. I will work on that in the next episode, I think. be my goal. Just in my seat a little bit. And while I'm doing that, I will talk about the seating arrangement in this aircraft actually. The S-16 existed in two different forms. It was both a single-seater and a two-seater. And if I'm not mistaken, the two-seater was actually a kind of side-by-side arrangement. Now, it's difficult to see how that would be possible in here. I don't believe the two-seater was any different dimensionally. Double check where I am. Okay, that's all good. I think what might have been the case was they were slightly offset, so one guy forwards and to the right, another back and to the left, rather than exactly side by side. That may or may not be true, I'm not sure. Seems to be a slight crossroads there. Oh, we should be going to the left, I think, then. Is that the railway just there? Can't see. Let's go back and follow this. Maybe I should be higher up, I can see a little better. Yes, here's the railway beneath me now. The goal of this level was to try and make me learn to navigate the map. As Vasily continues on his journey, career, I should say, he'll hopefully become more familiar with this area. But this being only the third time I've flown in this game, still definitely got to familiarise myself with the maps. The maps are enormous, and you'll see how long it's taken us to fly just this short distance here. Getting a bit of altitude here. Is that the area I'm looking for? Looking for a village surrounded by water. Is that the village? I think it might be. And then when I am there, yes, I remember some tight S-bends in the river, so I won't be going off in that direction. I think I'm looking vaguely in the direction of our airfield. You'll see on the wheel here, I have a blip switch as well. I wonder if all rotary aircraft have a blip switch. Certainly, only rotary aircraft could have one, because it's using the spinning centrifugal force of the engine to restart itself. So if it wasn't doing that, cutting the engine is not going to have any way of getting it to reignite. I'm nervous, I haven't flown all this time, that I'm going to muck up the landing. Okay, there's the first bridge over there. The second one is just visible in the distance there. Take a more direct route. I'm flying this immediately after yesterday's mission, where I had that spin. And I don't think I realised how bad it was at the time, but I was sweating afterwards. That was a nervous moment. I just was not recovering from that spin at all. I noticed in the videos I was watching to see how to do it that the left-hand spin seems a lot more difficult to recover from and the right-hand spin, and I think that's to do with the torque of the rotary engine spinning. It's an extra force you have to act against when you're in the left-hand spin. I don't know if all rotaries go in the same direction, or even all rotaries in just this game. But using the blip switch then, reducing that torque, is an essential part of recovering from that left-hand spin. I'm not going to attempt any spins in this thing today. This being Vasily's first ever flight as well. Airfield, I'm looking for it now. Scanning the horizon. Road goes off to the left. It's over here somewhere. Oh, I see it. Okay, directly ahead of us. Let's line up for an approach. It feels as if this aircraft is going quite a bit slower than the Eindecker was. More drag with it having two wings. Probably has a much better climb rate. I think it's got a less powerful engine as well. In fact, it might even have... Yeah, it was originally designed for a more powerful engine, which just they didn't have supplies of, so I think they used a smaller French engine. I want to say it was the Gnome engine, which the Oberursel engine in the Fokkers, the Eindeckers, is a license-built German copy of. And so this could be the same engine, more or less, that was present in the Fokker E1 and the Pfalz E1. We've flown the more powerful. I'm trying to think, is it UO or U0? And then the more powerful one's either U1 or UI. I forget. We need to be getting ready for a landing here. I don't like the position of those trees, so I'm going to follow the road in, if you see what I mean. Fly towards this crossroads ahead, and then take a right. Let's drop our mixture a little bit. Switch, there we go. Don't want to lose too much performance that we drop out of the air. Not be good. Let's come down a bit though. Okay, getting ready for our landing. Landing is the hardest part of Rise of Flight, I believe. Okay, I think I'm at the limit. Anything below this, I'm not going to be able to regain altitude, so touchdown just after this road. Hopefully it's relatively flat. Coming in quite fast though, it feels like. I'm actually going to go around again. See my aircraft down there. Let's try reducing our throttle, sorry not throttle, leaning out our mixture a little bit earlier, just seeing what we can fly with. I want to find a point where I can still see here, we're right at the point here of, yeah, in fact I'm too low here. Need to make sure I've got enough power to make around the turn, especially with all these trees around. No wind socket at this airfield, I must have forgotten to place one. I don't think I created any wind. I should use the flip switch. downside of the biplane design is you can't look up very well. Okay, here we go. It's our first touch there. Okay. Just rolling it in. Don't want to spin. And there we go. Perfect. Nice little pirouette at the end as well. Okay, we survived our third flight. I'm getting pretty good at this. It's about time I got into some action. We'll maybe look at that in a couple of missions' time. Tomorrow, the 3rd of August 1915, we're going to follow our story forwards 104 years in the future. So each day I upload is going to be the day that the mission is set, 104 years earlier. I'll get that my rudder there. Tomorrow then, 3rd of August 1915, will be the 1-year anniversary in terms of my character in-game of another nation joining World War One. Several nations joined on the 3rd actually, but we'll be playing one of those, and we'll be back in a familiar aircraft of a sort. So hopefully if you enjoyed this episode, you'll join me again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.